Hi, and today in this video I'm gonna be sharing with you how using TechnoTutor I've learned English in 7 months. Yes, 7 months. So briefly, what is TechnoTutor? So TechnoTutor is a tool that can help you to learn about everything. So it could be English, Spanish, it could be a language, mathematics, science, everything. But what I've been using it for the last 7 months, it was to really learn English or to better myself in my English. So I've had like English courses when I'm at school, but I've never been able to really do anything with that because I wasn't able to most of the time to remember anything out of it. So the only thing that I was about to do or I was doing is just to learn so that I could pass exams or I could pass classes. But later on in life, it becomes very important to be able to communicate. Mostly nowadays that everything is international. So you've got to be able to communicate and so on and so forth. So this was the reason why I decided, and also for my business, to really better myself in English, not just be able to read some few words now and there, but to really be able to communicate. Because if you are like signing a contract with another company, you have got to be able to read the contract and to understand what's all about. So that was like one part of it, and another one is it could be also for you that the reason why you decide to learn English is just because for classes, to take courses, because nowadays, like I mentioned earlier, everything is international, and it doesn't matter where you are. If you want to study, the moment you know how to speak English, you are good to go. So it could be that for you, right? Or it could be just for fun because you really feel like want to improve yourself in learning the language so that you can better connect with other people. And so it really like depends what you want, like what you want out of it. The real reason is probably personal why you want to learn English. But another point that I really want to mention is that prior for me using TechnoTutor to really learn English, I have seen classes because I did learn German, and unfortunately I did not really have TechnoTutor at that time when I started learning German. And what I noticed, so if you have as well, beside your mother tongue that you speak right now, if you have learned any other language as an adult, you will probably relate with this, because so far I can speak about 5 languages like Yemba, French, English, German, and Spanish, but I still need like to improve my Spanish. If you have learned like any other language as an adult, you will relate to this, like you are learning the language and everything that you can say about that. It's just when you're with other people, it's just like, hey, how are you? How's the weather like today? Just like those small chat like, and after that, you don't really know how to do a conversation. So what will actually happen right there is that you get frustrated, you get annoyed, you lose confidence, you don't trust yourself anymore because you can't really express yourself anymore and you cannot really connect to the other person. And mostly if that person really know how to speak the language. So what then happened at that moment is that that person usually find an excuse to just quit the conversation. I've got to go. I've got something to do. It is not that they have something to do. It's just that they do not want to stay in that moment, in that confrontation moment, and without knowing what to say, because no matter what they are going to be saying, you're not going to be able to answer to them. So what they prefer is just to leave the conversation, and you then feel embarrassed because you cannot communicate, you cannot connect with other people. Those moments are really embarrassing because that moment is, like I said, it's really frustrating and it's annoying, and it's also doubtful because you doubt yourself at that moment because you're like, oh, what is this? And that's what usually happens when we use the traditional method that we know so far to learn, is that we try to remember everything. But think about this, you learn like, you decide to pick like 5 words and you say, I'm gonna like master these words. You spend your time like remembering, like learning, reading those words, but the next day you start thinking about it. Oh my god, what was those words? What was it? at that level, you will not gonna be able to communicate effectively, because think about your name, for example. Do you have to think about your name when you're like giving it to someone? No, you just say what's your name, Viany. You do not think about it. It's automatic. So if you wanna like communicate effectively, you have to integrate the words that you're using, like your name, in order for you to communicate fluently. And to do that, you have to build up your vocabulary and practice speaking as well. And what usually happens is that people have neither of them, or sometimes they have one but they don't have the other. But what people almost always never have is the vocabulary part when they are learning a new language. It's the most challenging part, because like I was mentioning earlier, you have to remember. If you use like the traditional method of remembering, which is what TechnoTutor is so effective, because it's not like that. So if you are using the traditional way of, okay, I have to remember it, how effective are you going to be? So imagine every time that you have to think about, like, oh my God, I want to work. Which food should I use right now? You will never be able to work. You just work, right? So that's the way you want to like know your vocabulary. And that's also how you're going to be effective at communicating. So there are those two parts. First is your vocabulary. So how do you increase your vocabulary? So TechnoTutor helps you do that, and very fast. So that's like the one part that you need when you're communicating. And the other part is like you need to practice. So if you like say, I can understand this language, but you cannot speak, you can't probably speak at all. You can't probably understand at all. You may like get it, like some few words what the person is saying, but really say you are really understanding the full amount or content that the person is providing, most likely not. So those two spots, TechnoTutor helps you handle them so that you can practice. Because sometimes when it comes to practice, we are afraid of like, I don't want to practice because if I speak it in front of other people, they're going to mock me, they're going to laugh at me, and then you get discouraged, you don't do anything, and you don't practice, and you end up spending a whole amount of money, and you are not even able to communicate properly. And that's really another interesting part, because a friend of mine, before she started using TechnoTutor, she went like 2 years in a really good school, and that school is really expensive. And she spent 2 years there. And at the end of that, she is still not able to really have a conversation in English. She's not able. So it's like really seeing that, and she was really frustrated. And I can really understand that, because you spend money, you spend time, and still you're not able to communicate, right? You cannot communicate. And some people will say, you need time, you need time. No, you don't need time. You need a proper way of learning your language. That's what you need. And TechnoTutor, they like support you with that. So you need a proper way of learning the information or learning the language, or in this case, learning your vocabulary, so that at any time you're able to communicate. You're able to like find your words, not like thinking about the word that you're speaking. Because what also happens is that when you use the traditional way of learning, you can get into a group of people when they are speaking. Most of the time you're left out, because first you're not really getting what they're saying. Sometimes they laugh, you don't know why they're laughing, you just smile. And nobody wants to do anything with you, because how are you going to be able to communicate? So that's why it's really important to learn a language, so that to master it, so that you can speak, because that's really what it comes to when you're learning a language. You first have to be able to speak and understand as well. You really have to get there, because if you don't get there, it's like you don't get it, right? So those are those 2 points, that not being able to communicate effectively, like when you're learning English, it affects you a lot. And if you like have a business or whatever, you're gonna have to learn English. That's why it's really important to. And also, it's the language most spoken in the world. Come on. So if you can speak English, right? Yeah, you can speak French or Italy or Spanish, but how many countries in the world knows those languages? All right. So that's why when you know your English, you are good to go. You know that no matter where you go, you're going to be able to communicate effectively. And that just gives you more confidence, right? When you can stand in front of people and really speak English and you know that's not your first language, you can just speak like that. I'm like, how confident do you feel, right? So those are the point what's really important to speak in English, to speak English, and also how I kind of like use TechnoTutor to learn. And why TechnoTutor is so effective, it's because of his new approach of education. It helps you take the whatever you want to learn, in this case English, it helps you take like which you are learning at a knowing level, like your name. So that's why it's so effective at learning. And yeah, so this is so far has been my journey, and I know that I'm gonna improve as well because I use it every day and it's really fun. That's the best part of it. It's fun, right? When was the last time you really had fun while you were learning? So this is really like the big point with TechnoTutor. It's fun. It's really fun using it. So far has been my journey and how I've like learned my English, which is at the level that you can hear me right now. And yeah, so if you want to know more, or if you want to know more about TechnoTutor, or you want to learn English or better your English, or it could be also another language, because TechnoTutor is not only for English, you could also use it for any for other things, then just send me a message and we can chat from that. Bye bye.